So, my son is a senior this year. He just turned senior, and so I've been contemplating a great deal my parenting, and in particular, I have started contemplating whether my theory about teaching him how to swear is going to come to appropriate fruition. At a very early age, when he was born, I started contemplating this question: what will I do about swearing? I was a litigator in New York, which meant that I really couldn't not swear. I didn't really have a choice. But what do you do when you have a newborn and fuck is your second favorite word after the? And so I decided, after a deep conversation with my wife, that I would actually, I would embrace my swearing, and that I would teach him how to use swears appropriately and carefully, and that therefore he would become an educated person who understood the power of language, the value of language. And so, at a very early age, I tried to expose him to the proper uses of fuck and shit and other sundry words. And I learned very quickly that this may not have been going quite right, because as I was at a doctor's appointment with my wife, my 6-year-old, as I mistakenly dropped a quarter, said next to me, "Uh-oh, fuck." And I ignored it as if it had not happened, but then it became a game. He would pick up the quarter and drop it and say, "Uh-oh, fuck," repeatedly. I thought, oh my God, this is how embarrassing. I'll just pretend it's not happening. But I continued on in this vein. I was undaunted by his early failings of understanding the power and value of swearing. Shush! So as time went on, he became this musical theater fanatic, and so I decided to expose him to shows that were completely and vastly inappropriate for him. And I decided that actually I was making some progress, because he became obsessed with the musical Rent. And in particular, I don't know if you know the song La Vie Boheme, where there's the line and it goes, "Emotional devotion to causing a commotion, creation, vacation, mucho masturbation." And I thought, well, maybe this isn't appropriate for my 8-year-old. So I said to him, maybe you should skip that line. And so, being precocious, he inserted a different couple. So for him it was emotion, devotion to causing a commotion, creation, vacation, high-tech animation, which I thought was like genius. I had had incredible success. So I took him to see Rent at the local theater, and as I walked, it was intermission, I was walking with my son, and we walked by these elderly ladies, and they loudly say, as we crossed by, what kind of parents would bring their child to, such a small child, to Rent? And suddenly I felt like embarrassed for a second, until my son equally loudly said, "That was rude." And I thought, well, now this child is a genius. I'm really excited. So for his 9th birthday, I bought him the soundtrack to Avenue Q. Uh-oh. Now, I don't know if you all know the soundtrack to Avenue Q. It is incredibly filled, jam-packed with life lessons like Schadenfreude and everyone's a little bit racist. And we would listen to it driving around. By now I have 4 children. I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And we would be in the car listening to, the internet is for porn, the internet is for porn. Grab your dick and double click for porn, porn, porn. And we would all sing along, and so it was a jolly old time. And I thought that this was fine. Like I was just teaching children to understand and appreciate culture and values. But it all fell apart on me. I was later having breakfast at my house, and we're sitting around. It was your classic bucolic scene in suburbia. My 9-year-old eating breakfast, my 7-year-old, and I was discussing with them the power of the internet. Oh, you can do this with the internet. You can do that with the internet. I was feeling very, this was an incredibly erudite house. And as I did this, my little daughter, who at the time was 4, walks by and she tugs on my leg. And I said, "Yeah, what, Darrow?" And she said, "The internet is for porn." And that was it. I pretty much determined that my theory of parenting had fallen out the door. So now that he's off to college, I think actually it could come to good use. But between 9 and 17, I was pretty much the worst parent existent. So let this be a lesson to all of you to show some caution when exposing your children to those things that will be appropriate only 10 years down the road. I want to bring up our next speaker.